Yeah. I was kind of scared last night. Guess I know it's gonna get scary now. The black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. But more than that, there are voices, lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride. Didn't he already? We already went through this. Over. It's because you didn't listen. And over. It's all your fault. And over again. Why won't you believe me, Yoshi? A reminder of what I've failed to do and of who I've failed. What I'm trying desperately to fix. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me. Apart from one, there's only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Oh, we didn't get any scary graphics. That was what I wanted to avoid last night because, I think I ended the stream about like 8:30 or something like that. And I was like, I don't want to get scared. Because it's already nighttime. Half darkness greets me when my eyes finally snap open. The soft patter of dripping water somewhere spurring my consciousness further. For a few short moments, I remain still, blinking away the dizziness, allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and my breathing to even out first, before pushing myself up on one arm and attempting to stand. The storm had started in earnest when Ashton arrived at the mansion. While trying to find a way in, the detective noticed the eerie silence that had enveloped the place. Something was wrong inside, but before he could figure it out, the sobs of a woman suddenly echoed. Okay, now I have to check on the laundry because I hear it ringing. It was just a laundry, Yoshi. Go relax, honey. Allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and breathing to even out. Oh, I already read that. Turning alone is a struggle on its own, an inch of movement. Sends a stab of pain right up my arms and my back, giving me another pause.
Shit. I hope I didn't break anything.
There doesn't seem to be any injury or a major fracture, although the whole of my back does feel sore and raw. Probably from when I've skidded down prior to landing myself here. A comforting thought. The second attempt comes easier later, though no less painful. And by the time I'm back on my feet, the exertion has left me gasping in short shallow breaths, and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Behind me, a light draft blows in from where I'd fallen in, coming in short, sharp burst into what's apparently an underground tunnel and brings in the fresh, earthy smell of rain from the topside. Regardless, it fails to mask the old, musty scent of the place, a mixture of mold, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctly foul, like death. More worrisome than the putrid, festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside on some of them, but I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment. Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of this place is, it isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Yoshi? What are you doing, baby? Probably not, unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably balk at this, move out at the first opportunity, and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me real as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This, though, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I fear that I may discover in the mansion itself, and I fear of what I may discover in the mansion itself, in the tale behind that fucking letter. But fear is inconsequential. As unpleasant, apparently this person who did the translation discovered the word inconsequential and then just keep repeating it. I think they're like similar with a lot of words. kept getting repeated over and over and over again. As unpleasant as the sight of this is, this place might also be the only way for me to get inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. Turns out that alone. What? Turns out that alone. That alone. That comma is misplaced. Not 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly rises above my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel, before fading away just as swiftly as it rang. Yoshi? Okay, stay here. Come here. Stay over here. I pause, nonetheless straining my ears for more of it, while I gradually move my hand to my side, slow and steady until the tips of my finger brush off the gun's handle. Although cold against my skin, it's the closest thing I have to comfort at the moment. For a long minute I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge, and shadow at the corner of my vision for any movement. After a heartbeat and nothing, I allow the tension to ease out of me in the form of a long, slow exhale that reverberates around the whole passage.
Who's there?
Perhaps it's because of what has happened earlier and how I've ended up here, or maybe it's because of my training. But in spite of the panic and fear in that voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free from its holster and wordlessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. Afraid, frantic, weak.
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
It's only after I've released the safety do I answer, while continuing my approach in a careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that. Who are you? Show yourself.
Marianne McCulloch.
I can't. I'm stuck in here.
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that, or have a conversation like this, or be stuck anywhere. As if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells ahead and waves. Then she pulls back, grips the iron bars, and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out. Can you help?
In 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, and sure enough, a woman's inside. Slumped on the floor, holding the bars with shaking hands, clinging to it as if it's the only thing keeping her upright. And not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
The same one I met at G's 5 days ago, smashed drunk and babbling her frustrations about her employees.
Holmes?
Holmes! No, not McLaughlin. McCulloch. Marianne McCulloch, famous interior designer extraordinaire. Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks, trapped in a jail cell of all things. Her breathing's shallow, and there's a paleness to her complexion, sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin, all signs pointing to starvation and dehydration.
What? How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore. I just fell in, and that woman... Whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
Yang's energy bar. I fished out an energy bar from my pocket and handed it to her. She's lucky I always have one on my person. It's a good idea. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar to keep me going. Like any starving person, she wastes no time making a grab for it, unwrapping it straight away, and taking the whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more than that if what she has said is true. But for the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have the sense to prioritize survival over comfort, if the puddle on the corner of the cell indicates anything. She peed in the cell. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days. No food, and it will give an average of 3 weeks. Though even then, it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. I think she's only been there for since the gathering, and that was on, when was it? The party, the housewarming party was on Friday night. So she's been there for 3 days. Oh god. So 1 night, okay. Yeah, she's been there for 3 days. No poop though. She hid the poop well, because he only saw the pee-pee. My bobby pins won't be of any use here. Not like I need it. Unlike the ones we have at the precinct, a simple barrel hinge holds the gates to hold the sail together. Even without any special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I need a lever of some sort to help.
Oh, what are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe. Anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. We can't have another person trapped in here. However, McCullough ended up inside.
Well, there's no...
My head snaps back to her. McCullough extricates a wooden board from under the mass of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose upon closer inspection.
Good enough.
I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door and applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak. In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually lifts off its hinges. It falls to the ground with a loud, ugly, metallic thud, but the sound of it puts elation on McCullough's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she has accidentally found herself in, more than happy to get out of it, despite lacking the strength to stand firm on her feet.
Thank you so much. After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there. If you didn't show up, I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for something. Someone.
A contemplative expression flickers in her eyes, something that's close to wistful, like when a person remembers a memory she's fond of. It doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me with the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private, something deeply personal for her. I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sort. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry. And I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans.
What do you mean? Oh.
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here. People died in this place. Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
The bloody letter! Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
McCullough, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God! Oh God! Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer...
McCullough!
Abruptly, she stops. Looks back at me with wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times these past few days, from my own friends even. They know she has seen things, the kind that will easily make any person go mad. And perhaps we slowly are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't even tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you'd rather see Luke Wright choke on his own wine glass, but...
Look, I know you'd rather see Luke Wright. Oh, okay. You already said
Damn
that.
right I do. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord. She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her, and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't have to go with me. Only tell me enough info so I can figure it out on my own. She can always leave afterwards, be done with this whole damn mansion and letter. The other end of the tunnel leads right into the forest. It'll provide ample cover for her to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Then without another word, she gestures for me to follow, leading me further into the passage. After his fall, Ashton found himself in an underground passage when he came to. There, he encountered Marian McCullough, who got trapped in one of the jail cells for several days. The detective managed to free her, and in turn, she helped him find a way into the mansion. Occasionally, she'll stop, find purchase on the wall to catch her breath. They're doing this a lot of finding purchase something, which is really odd. What does that even mean? Find purchase on the wall to catch her breath. But throughout the short walk, she asked for neither a break nor assistance. I suppose that's something we have in common. Eventually, we get to a dead end. Although, before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall. She began purchasing something on the wall, tracing her fingers along weathered edges of the bricks with a frown on her face.
It should be somewhere here.
Maybe it's a one-way thing.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely holds up a hand, begging for my silence, and continues searching. He's such a dick. You know, even when there's somebody helping him and not just messing around, what are you doing? Just like such an ass. I hope he dies. And if I have the option to ensure his death, I will do it. Because he's such a dick. He's probably worse than Luke. Then, without warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall shifts ajar to reveal a glimpse to another room. Like, no matter what you do or say to him, he's always like, nah. So what? You love me? So what? It's just a dick. Bottles lining the walls, liquor barrels for aging. The wine cellar, indeed.
The ladder to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare. But after everything, should this even surprise me? Ghosts, curses, hidden passages. I can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply followed her to the undercroft without a single question, in spite of a number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave for this kind of adventure, the stuff of mystery and detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases to solve, suspects to put behind bars, justice to serve. Yeah, you're horrible you're a horrible detective. I was blinded, I admit it. Now I simply want this to be over. We'll leave the door open in case there's a need for quick exit. Especially after she mentions it's only by chance she has been able to open the door last time. We can't waste time finding the switch again on the occasion something goes horribly wrong. There's bound to be, with me feeling this high-strung and tense. I'm not sure why I thought it would be a good idea to enlist McCullough's help. Hey Leon, how are you? Although she has been quite helpful so far, I can't shake off the horrible feeling something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet, if she wants to get out of this place alive.
You really believe that, don't you?
Did you say something?
McCullough pauses mid-step, turning to me, confused.
I didn't.
Yeah, leave him.
Sure?
He's crazy.
I just heard.
Don't you think I'll be the first person who'll know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time, I'm sure. There's really a voice. Well, voices. Despite the look of protest, McCullough shoots me. I find myself stopping and looking for it, searching for in the immediate surrounding for the familiar form of the woman. I don't even have to venture too far from where I'm standing. Just an arm's length away from me, mirror shards litter the floor, and right on the biggest fragments, they speak. All singing the same mocking tune against my ears, letting it echo throughout the small undercroft. Murmurs and laughters, jeering, scoffing, deriding, lacing venom into every crevice in my head. I keep repeating this line over and over again, taunting me.
Another person into this action.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
All because you can't fix them on your own. You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are. Useless. Pathetic.
You're wrong.
My mistake lies in this first instance in this first instance I've answered. The very second denial has slipped from my mouth. Their words have also seeped into my heart, allowing it to prod at and rouse my temper. Despite knowing they're merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I hope I've long buried.
Are we? Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time? Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps?
What about Zack? Wrongfully accused. You could be and get him out.
Someone's dead because of you.
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder? To know you're responsible for all of this.
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late. And you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends. Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring the right to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together. No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are. You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through to me. Every weakness, every insecurity, it knows. To hear it said in my friend's voice, even more so. But when I hate above all of it is,
You know it's true, love.
All of it. It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it. You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore.
it laughs, sharp and piercing. At its sound, something in me snaps, a rage hastily unfurling, and she's gonna accidentally kill McCullough. Red filling my vision, and the next thing I know, I'm raising my hand, and something grabs at my wrist, followed by a buzz as another voice breaks through the haze.
Don't listen to it!
The fog from my mind lifts. Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding my every senses. All at once, there's this deafening silence. Slowly, I become aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, the faint, all scent of death and decay somewhere, and a hand holding to my wrist, as if to keep me from hurting myself. In my hands, a shard, blood drips from where it has cut my palm, trailing down my wrist until it disappears behind my sleeve. Not too deep, negligible even. There is a pain, however, a different kind, an ache somewhere else that stems not from the wound, but where every single word has hit. When I glance up at McCullough, she merely stares at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it! No matter what happens, don't do what it says! It's how it gets us.
My grip on the shard falters, and only after I nod and drop it entirely does she release her grip. Afterwards, she simply steps back and looks away, hugging her arms closer to herself. She breathes a sigh, heavy, perhaps weighted with her own guilt, what this monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks off without another comment, but there's worry in her as she gives the fragments one last glimpse. Why is she not leaving him? I mean, she already pointed out the exit. She needs to just leave. On the ground, they lie lifeless now. No more voices, no more insults. But even as I walk away, one whispered taunt continues to ring in my ears. Before he could go deeper into the wine cellar, Ashton began to hear voices coming from Mirror. Voices coming from Mirror the Shards. It's like a character. Mirror the Shards. On the floor, mocking him for his failures. Though before he could do anything rash, Marianne stopped him. Belatedly, he realized he had picked up a broken mirror shard.
It's useless, Ashton Frey. You are going to die.
Oh, I hope so.
And you are going to die alone.
Oh, that'd be better. A fear. One that has been long kept in the darkest place in my heart. One that a small part of me wishes for. He wishes to die alone? Well, yeah, just do it. The trapdoor swings open without much fuss. It isn't even locked, probably left open for when the Wrights ask for some midnight snack. I make sure the coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself and help McCulloch up. The butler of theirs is nowhere to be seen. He's probably sleeping, attending to his master, or doing some extra late-night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Wright won't touch anything to do with menial chores, not even with a 10-foot pole. It's next to impossible for him to linger here. Yeah. You have a problem with that? Don't be jealous. He's rich. No servants, no anyone, and just as easy as that, we're in. Gently, I close the hatch. If things go well, the same path will be our way out. If our luck doesn't hold, that's not an option now, is it? I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think what might happen. Sometimes it's best if we simply revel in the little victories. They're great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place like this, fraught with unknown dangers, it's a feeling that lasts only but a second. Suddenly, a sob, ringing out from some distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. Beside me, slumped on the ground, pale and breathing heavily, McCulloch immediately tenses. Her eyes goes wide as she grips the side of the counter with a force that might be enough to crack it, if only she has the strength. As it is, she can barely stand. She hasn't fully recovered. Makes sense of the 3 or more days without proper food or water. And it's this weakness that puts the fear in her eyes. She's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point. Look at how he's like, now she's a liability.
I really don't think going any further is a good idea. Look at this place. Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go. I really don't like the sound of that.
You really don't have to come with me. Just until the kitchen, yeah? We're already here.
What a dick.
You've done your part.
He's worse
You're
than
on,
Luke.
I'm going on my own.
Yes, I said that, but
Can you even stand?
She doesn't answer.
You'll only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
what? I'm not going to leave you.
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
He's mad and he's a dick. A dick who doesn't like to share his dick with people who wants his dick. So yeah.
Probably all will be. If no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake.
Maybe it's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
McCulloch still appears as if she's about to argue. So instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. A standard issue for every member of Luxborn police force, but it shouldn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire one. Even Isabella may just be able to use it without training. Yeah, just point and shoot. Yet Miss Interior Designer Extraordinaire stares at it as if I've just handed her something particularly nasty.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
Are you daft, Thomas? I already told you.
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friends what might have happened here. They're at the crawl. You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. I want to be optimistic about this, really. However, I'm going against something everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. McCullough seems to understand this as well after what I've said. Any sign of protest has already died from her tongue, and she simply looks at the taser quietly. After a moment, she just nods. Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder, and I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out of the door. Upon reaching the kitchen, the crying Ashton heard from outside, it should be the crying Ashton, began anew. Unwilling to risk a civilian, the detective handed Marianne his taser and advised her to leave him if he didn't return after 15 minutes, even if he himself was uncertain he would. Oh, I sure hope that he's gonna die. I don't like this character at all. Like a siren call, her voice beckons. Finding out who that is seems a good place to start as any. I keep to the shadows for the most part. Not that there's any need to. The entire place just feels empty. Odd, when a house this big should have a large staff. You'd think there'll be one or two roaming about some late night chores, or someone seeking out whoever's creating this ruckus. There's none, however.
Shouldn't they have security posted inside as well?
Unless their security means the butler, though I doubt Scumbag's that sloppy. He loves his life more than anything. Probably more than his own wife. Well, at the end of the day, if you have to choose, it's a stupid fucking observation. And the things he's done, he's bound to make more than an enemy or two. He's also the kind who'll do anything to keep himself safe. Alive.
I wonder what he'll say when he finds out that there's something not human living within his own house.
Potential dangers aside, being on my own grants me a greater degree of mobility, which I'm more comfortable with. Sure, I could have enlisted McCullough's help. Next to the people who owns this place, she's probably the one who's most familiar with the mansion. But the cons of bringing her outweigh the pros. She's better off somewhere, a quick exit's in sight. With no tag along, I only have to worry about myself. Watch my back. Selfish, I know.
But necessary.
In the same manner, this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic going into this is. Besides, I don't really need a guide when the house's layout is fairly simple, almost mirrored with only a few modifications in the rooms. Although I've only been here once, I think I already got a good grasp of this place's ins and outs. As long as you can tell which is east and west, it shouldn't be hard to find my way around. After the dining room, the main foyer should be the next thing that greets me. Where the woman's cries are leading me. Honestly, after what happened outside, I'm not even sure if I should be trusting what I'm hearing. More than surviving this curse, a huge part of my training speaks. It is a huge part of this is my training speaking.
Just hope this isn't a crime scene I'm walking into.
Yeah, and the criminal is you. But nothing's ever that simple, isn't it? Not when you're dealing with the supernatural. Nope. Because as soon as my feet crosses to the next room, something shifts. Oh God. In a flash, nearly without fanfare. It happens in the blink of an eye. I almost miss it. One moment there's red. In the next, I'm standing alone in the foyer. What? For a brief instant, I pause, glancing wildly around the place, blinking twice as if my movements will spur the vision back. Yet, nothing. No blood dripping on the walls, none trailing down the stairs or pooled on the floor, no eyes watching my every moment. Only the same cries gradually growing in intensity the longer I dally, along with a voice. Mother! Desperate.
Where are you, Mother?
Mama! Pleading.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
Coming from the same direction I've heard the cries from. Upstairs. The place is not entirely empty then. A better question is who? Definitely not Scumbag or the butler. They don't even sound like guys. He's not making any fucking sense. I've yet to hide nor hear of them, and not knowing their whereabouts puts me on the edge. I have to be careful not to make any noise or be seen. Maybe the wife? Though one can't really tell if it's her, the way the walls echo her voice. But for you to think that it might even be Luke or the butler, wow. Something wrong with you. Nevertheless, it pushes me to move, taking almost 2 steps at a time, despite the sickening feeling that something's lurking behind every great shadow, every small corner I pass. As if the house has several eyes watching my every movement. As if something alive dwells behind the walls itself. Oh, what was that? I tried to shake it off. Upon reaching the kitchen, the crying Ashton heard from outside began anew. On alert, he continued deeper into the mansion, even if he was uncertain he would get out of the place alive. But the uneasy sensation has already made home at the pit of my stomach, dread, and only grows deeper the closer I get to her. The relative emptiness of the place doesn't help either. Neither does the harsh wind battering the windows, nor the sheets of rain pelting down the roof. For a fleeting second, I find myself wishing for Scumbag to simply show up. I don't get too far down into that train of thought. Abruptly, the cries stop, replacing it with,
She's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me. She won't leave, Mother. I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. Mother! Mother, she's here! Help!
that can't be good. Adrenaline overcomes me in a rush. In no 2 heartbeats, my feet's already moving before any sense can catch up or doubt creeps up to me. My hands ready at the holster as I hastily set off for the far side of the hall. One alarm footstep after another, while struggling to keep that sense of panic at bay. A door lies ajar at the end, and coming from the floor above,
She's going to hurt me! Help me!
I do not hesitate. Moving in, despite the lack of light, the steep stairs, or the thick layer of dust kicking up with every step, I pause only a moment upon reaching the top. Then, without wasting a second, I push the door open. She sits in the middle of the room, shoulders hunched, shaking. Her hands cover her face as she weeps, oblivious to my presence. It's as if she has heard neither my footsteps nor the soft creaking of the floor, continuing, undisturbed, like I'm standing in a time far removed from her. She doesn't even flinch when I call out to her.
Hey, are you alright?
He sees all that blood on the bed and shit, and
Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
belatedly, I notice the blood on her hands. If it's the same one drenching the whole attic, I'd rather not know. How the whole room has ended up like this is the least of my problem at the moment. Even the single human body doesn't have this much blood. So, bodies? The thought sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach. Does Wright even know about this? He's bad news, alright, but this? This is beneath him. He'll definitely balk at the sight of it. Anyone will. Yet the woman lingers here, unmoved by the sight, letting her sobs fill the room, repeating the words over and over again like a prayer of salvation. To whom? The mess of parchment she has left on the floor? Just what the hell is happening?
Hey, lady, are you?
Vim. The rest of the question never makes it out. I don't even see it coming. Should have been more aware and on guard, really. But there's little I can do when a well-placed blow to my back, to the back of my knees, makes me stumble. The momentum alone sends me reeling forward. It barely even registers in my head that the woman's gone and the room's as normal as it can be. The sobs led Ashton to the mansion's attic. In the middle of the room, he found a woman crouched on the floor, crying. Cautiously, he approached her, but as he was about to reach out for her, something grabs him from behind. Not above the pain suddenly shooting up my side when I hit the floor. I don't even get the chance to get my bearings back when a hard enough blow to the stomach causes me to buckle down and land heavily on my knees. Gasping, I fumble wildly for my gun. Although before I'm able to turn, level it, and shoot, a hand grabs my wrist and twists it. Hard. Oh, this must be the butler. A gasp. A grunt. A cry of pain slips past my mouth. He deserved that. The gun falls to the floor with a thunk. As soon as it lands, a foot kicks it out of my reach, and it slides uselessly under the bed. Agony suddenly explodes in my chin, jerking loose a sharp cry of pain, and stars fill the edges of my vision. A brief moment of regret hits me for leaving my taser with Makaloch when a piece of cloth closes around my neck. Without warning, my attacker pulls tight. I'm left gasping, choking, and clawing for air, blindly reaching behind me as I try to fight him off and loosen the pressure on my neck. Except any sort of movement only causes him to pull it taut.
My, so many rats scurrying about in this mansion lately.
Writes Butler. Shit.
Tell me, what did you do with the madam?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Did something happen to Hannah, right?
Let go, you asshole.
Now, Dummkopf, you're in no position to be rude. Last time I checked,
But he's always
I'm
rude.
not the one breaking into other people's homes. Now answer my question. What did you do with the madam?
The pain rings and resonates through my already sore body. Still, I manage to ride it out and spit a mutinous.
You. Keep that dirty mouth babbling and you're getting a knife in the kidney.
Give him that knife.
I assure you it will be more painful than this.
He really doesn't need to threaten me by now. He really doesn't need to threaten me by now. It's all too much to bear at this point. My lungs feel like they're burning with the lack of air. Dark spots begin to fill the edges of my vision. Ever so slowly, the world around me dims. My consciousness rapidly slips away from me. And without meaning to,
Get away from him!
hearing that voice, it's as if I've been doused with a bucket full of ice cold water. Familiar. Too familiar. Is that Isabella? And more importantly, it shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be hearing it here. She shouldn't be here. Ugh. Immediately my eyes snap open. And right there, right on the attic's doorway, stands Isabella of all people. A rolling pin in one hand and a standard issue police taser on the other. My taser. She must have borrowed it from McCulloch. Where else could she have gotten one? I doubt she has ever used one, even. Hell, the way she holds it right now, this guy can easily disarm her in one hit. If there's something in her. But there's something in her. In her eyes. Although there's a look of fear in them, and her hand shakes, she keeps the weapon trained and pointed at Scumbag's lackey. Untrained or not, she does not plan to leave here without putting up a fight, it seems. Admirable, really. But it's just not something we need right now. I need her to be away from here. I need her safe. But the chances of that happening grow slim with every laughter that slips from him.
Oh, this is just getting better and better. The Bratwurst won't be pleased with the number of bodies we have to dispose of today, you know. Tell me, how many of you are there? So I can prepare the proper number of bags.
Damn it. What the fuck is going on? Why is she here in the first place? Did she follow after me? Who else came with her? Rebecca? Panic surges within me. She knows how bad the situation is, but did she really have to run in here and expose herself like that? Does she even know how to use a taser? For fuck's sake, more than worrying for my life, it's her I'm concerned about. Getting strangled, dying by choking isn't part of the plan, but her following me here isn't either. This is why I prefer to do things alone. This is why I'd rather be the one to take the consequences. I don't even want to think what this bastard might do to her after he's done with me. Though my voice comes off nearly a croak, I try to tell her as much. She has to leave. Stay away from here and these people.
Don't! Damn it, Isabella! Get out of here!
Another bout of pain erupts in my side, cutting off my words. A cry of agony bursts from my mouth. I can taste blood in my tongue as I heave, attempting to get in as much air despite the towel still coiled around my neck.
Ash?
You're going to lose air quickly that way, Dummkopf.
Yoshi?
Better keep it shut.
You need to step out? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Val!
Don't be stupid! I'm not leaving you here!
He laughs, too cruel, too unforgiving. The way each note beats against my ears, in spite of the warmth in them, send chills down my spine. This is a man whose hands have already been stained with blood before. He won't hesitate.
I'd follow his advice if I were you, little girl. What could you possibly do with a toy? Just hand it over and be on your way. It'll probably be too difficult for a little girl like you to use.
There's a moment of silence. Fuck, I can barely keep my eyes open. But in the next second, though I still don't exactly understand what's happening, Isabella shouts. Not a cry of pain, not a yell of panic, but one that's resolute, firm. Perhaps in a tone that's leagues fiercer than I've heard from her before.
Try me! Ashton, duck!
I do. How is he able to duck? More out of instinct and desire to survive. Closing my eyes before my mind can truly process what's going on. It all happens in a blur. The telltale sound of a taser being discharged resound through the room. The air crackles, Yoshi. So much shit to manage. Something whizzes by, almost too close to my ear, followed by a thud or something blunt connected solidly with another object. The next thing I know, the towel strangling me has started to loosen. I collapse on the floor, dazed and gasping for air. Ashton attempted to fight back, but his attacker quickly disarmed him, looping a towel around his neck and strangling first. But just when he was about to lose consciousness, a familiar voice rings in the room and... From my peripheral, through the haze of blood rushing and sound slowly filtering back, the butler buckles. He spasms once. Then, without much fuss, falls face first beside me, knocked unconscious by 50,000 volts of electricity and a fucking rolling pin. He'll be out for a while. I have no idea whether I should laugh or cry at that. Somewhere in front of me, my oxygen-deprived brain vaguely registers Isabella's form. She slumps on the floor, also breathing heavily. Right next to her trembling hands, both the taser and the rolling pin lie useless and forgotten, while the mood in the room eases. A long, gradual process of the tension lifting. For countless seconds, we remain quiet, with only our short gasps and sighs to fill the silence, allowing the adrenaline to ebb away and both our breathing to slow. Not a true repose by any means, but simply a brief respite. There's still the curse. We're still inside the mansion, in imminent danger. We still have no idea how to fix this. Outside, the rain seems to only intensify. Lightning flashes fleetingly somewhere, white and piercing, and the sky rumbles. Where's my phone? No rest for the wicked. I stir first, once recovered, having regained some semblance of sense and strength. Breathing still hurts, but it's bearable, as is moving. Although every small motion causes a wince, there will be bruising tomorrow. I can manage. Retrieving my gun from under the bed is easy, but only with some effort. I'm able to drag an unconscious man to the far end of the room, snapping one end of a handcuff on his wrist, while fastening the other on the bed frame. That should keep him restrained for a few hours, but in case he wakes up prematurely. And through this, Isabella stays quiet. In fact, she hasn't even moved since. Her hands still shake, and taking in long draws of breath while she stares vacantly in front of her, almost as if she's in shock. Perhaps she isn't even expecting any result, spurred only by some kind of desperation. Now it's sinking in. Unfortunately, we need to get moving. We don't have time to wait for everything to register in our heads. Kneeling in front of her, I give her a light shake.
Belle, we need to go. We can't stay here.
Slowly, she turns, staring at me with wide eyes. Worry flickers briefly in them, along with something ineffable. Then, without warning, she lifts a hand and slaps me right across the face. The sound of it cracks the air, shattering the silence like a fragile glass breaking. Despite the familiar rumble and thunder, it manages to ring louder above the storm. I don't even know what hit me until my head has already snapped back and my cheek stings with her anger. Wow, isn't that an assault? And it is anger. In spite of the stillness and the lack of words afterwards. Not fuming, though. Never fuming. But the kind that burns lightly and soundlessly. A frustration instead of a seething rage. One that ebbs just as quickly as it flows. And once that tide subsides, there's only that gleam in her eyes. Warm, steadfast, and unflinching. Quietly, I brace myself for the truth underneath that gaze. It slips from her lips softly, nearly fading under the sound of the rain still falling fast, if not for the weight in each of her words.
What is wrong with you?
Belle,
If your bartender friend hadn't slipped up, no one would have known where you went.
Belle, one person knowing is enough. Any more than that, and
You almost died! He could have suffocated you right then and there, and you could have died. And by the time anyone ever finds out, you're already fertilizer!
She trails off, drags one in-drawn breath after another. A brief lull as her frustration finally gives, dissolves into something more pensive and somber. Her shoulders droop, and though her voice rises hoarse and weary. In her next words, there's only certainty.
You count too, you know? When I said that night, when I told you that I don't want to lose anyone anymore, that includes you. Alive. We're still here, Ash. You have us.
And once their meaning roar, it does so not with force of a dam breaking or raging storm, but with the gentle, steady warmth of a hearth burning. An ember easing slowly, lightly, rising and giving until all that's left is the truth and understanding. Not alone, never alone. These two really do deserve each other, though. It lingers even as we both drift back into silence and the words take root, because in the gratitude that swells after is another warmth blooming. Pleasant, welcoming, like finding home, like finding ourselves in a haze a squall has left. Creating something fragile, yet immutable in both of us. It's in her eyes, in the way she holds my gaze, unwavering, in the way she carries herself despite sitting amidst a place she fears, in the way she keeps herself from trembling and falling apart, because fear is inconsequential. There's that word again. When people she cares about are at risk, that's like the 1,000th time that they repeated that word. A change, she realizes that now, holds on to it. Another little thing, another small thing from her that may go unnoticed and pass by quietly, but will eventually amount to a lot of things. Tiny gestures that mean nothing at first, but began to matter to me one day until, despite myself, a small smile slips from my lips as the same warmth from earlier unfolds in my chest. If that's like a preview of how their relationship is going to be, it's gonna be an abusive, physically abusive one. Why would you, allow someone who slaps you like that into your life? Unhurried, familiar, and bright from these years I've carried, but have never given the words for it. I mean, if you switch the role and he's the one slapping her like that, slapping her silly, even, like when she's acting a little silly, you see that as physical abuse. But when a woman does it to a man, then it doesn't mean anything, apparently. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, look at that abusive bitch. Having recovered, Ashton quickly urged Isabella to move, knowing it wasn't safe to stay idle. Without warning, however, Isabella slapped him. If he's like in some kind of, like he's under a spell and she needed to snap him out of it, but it's nothing like that. He just said something, hey, I don't want you to be here, and then she slapped him like that. She slapped him hard. Yeah, that's a telltale sign this is not a relationship for you, because that's going to happen throughout the relationship, and she's going to get away with it every single time. Furious at him for keeping people in the dark, she reminded him of what was important, and with it came a realization about himself. And then you always have to do that, you have to switch around the situation. If a man does that to a woman, is that okay? It's not. So if a woman does that to a man, also, it's not okay.
Stop smiling like that, Ashton. I'm not done scolding you.
But this time they come easy.
I heard all of it. Don't worry.
I like being slapped by you because I'm an idiot.
Are you really okay? That guy hit you a little too hard on the head.
You hit him a little too hard on the head. Wow. And then he's gonna blame what's his name, that servant, for hitting him hard in the head. He was actually trying to strangle him. He didn't really even hit him in the head. You're the one who hit him in the head. She's trying to switch blame. Oh, your head got hurt because of that guy, not because of me.
Here, let me.
I reach up as she extends a hand towards my face, catching her wrist in a light grip, drawing it closer, and folding her hand in between mine. Oh, Jesus. Although her expression does shift into mild confusion, she does not pull away like I'm expecting. She simply stares at me, searching. For her to allow a gesture from me that's perhaps too close, it tells a lot how far things have already shifted in the past few years. Cradle in mind, her hand still trembles. Most of the tremors has already subsided by now, though I doubt it will fade away this soon. Even as I trace the lines of her palm in what I hope is comforting gesture.
I'm sorry. No.
For what? Is this about what happened tonight? You can apologize later when...
No, well, this too, but it's not just about this. It's for a lot of things.
And then they have this, like, this was recorded after they were done with the whole game. Because you can tell that it sounded different. The volume is different.
For calling you clumsy and careless and a scatterbrain.
Are you sure this isn't a concussion?
You mean the concussion you gave him?
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, you don't usually apologize.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that too.
They so deserve each other, though. Two dumb... Well, that's the problem, though. When two dumb people marry and they have kids, or when they fuck and they have kids, you have more dumb people in the world. So this is the origin of how dumb people exist.
For all the times I've teased you and made you cry.
Unexpectedly, her fingers tighten around mine, our hands falling between us as something tender shifts in the air. Another exhale. Another drawn breath eases out of me, filled with every hesitation and uncertainties. But when I finally choose to break silence, it's only when I know that what will slip past my mouth is that one truth I will hold against the world.
But for all those callous words, despite all those, There's nothing that I don't love about you.
Oh my god.
In fact, those things, I love those. And everything.
Oh my god, this is written for like teenage girls.
Everything that's you.
Jesus Christ. For a long moment, she offers no response. Her grip on my hands merely tightens. Although my heart's pounding hard against my ears, I take a chance and look up, slightly leaning away and giving her a cautious glance, more than ready to hear her rejection. And it is one. It's all in her face, in fact. I hope she rejected him because I made sure that, yes, please reject him. There's a pain aspect to it I can hardly name. Regardless of what it means to her or what she intends to convey with it, the sight of it alone makes me regret ever mentioning anything. That would be great if she rejects him because of how he rejected Rebecca. So he needs to feel, he needs to understand how that feels. It's almost as if she's about to have a panic attack. Not that I won't be able to take it or I'm expecting an answer from her. If anything, I think these past few days have proven how it might never work out between us. Though it's mostly my fault for saying all the wrong things and she doesn't need them. In the end, I just want her to know, that's all. But if knowing will also put a heavier burden on her, I'd rather not have said anything at all. As expected, soon she hastily pulls her hands away from mine, and when she speaks, there's a stark refusal to meet my eyes. Not that I hold it against her. The situation's already awkward as it is.
Ash.
Well, it's alright. You don't have to.
No, I'm really sorry, Ash. I can't do this kind of thing right now. I'm sorry.
Nice. Oh, I'm so glad. Because, yeah, I made sure that he said the wrong things.
My family still needs me. My dad just died. And then there's still this curse going on.
Good. So, yeah, they're not going to birth more stupid people into this world. Good.
I'm really sorry. I just don't think of you that way.
Abruptly, she stands up before I can stop her, quickly backing away and putting as much distance between us. She never really makes it past even the door, though. Her foot catches on the rolling pin she dropped earlier, and soon she's landing on the backside without a shout. With a shout.
Ow!
Are you okay? Here, let me.
No, I'm fine. It's okay. It's alright. I can stand on my own.
Brushing away the hand I've offered her, she proceeds to pick herself up from the floor, albeit shakily. Still, she refuses to meet my eye, and as soon as she can, remove herself from the attic without another word. I suppose that's to be expected. I suddenly jumped this on her. So this is exactly what happened between you and Rebecca, so now it's karma. I bet the last thing she wants to do is talk about feelings when we're still in danger of dying from a curse. Hell, maybe even forget I said anything. Here's to hoping we still have the chance to fix this after we've done with the ghost problem. With a heavy sigh, I follow after her. Alright, let's see here. Understanding how much she also meant to him, Ashton took both her hands in his and apologized, and in a rare moment of honesty, confessed how he truly felt for her. However, Isabella had only ever seen him as a friend and awkwardly turned him down. Good. Oops. Power still hasn't come back when we make our way downstairs. Tricky, considering the stairs to the attic are a bit old. One misstep and anyone might end up slipping and falling. You're lucky if that's all that'll happen to you. With the stairs this steep, a broken neck is likely a likely outcome. Thankfully, Isabella's here to guide me through the darkness. She knows this place better than anyone. After all, in spite of all the misfortunes it has brought to us.
Careful. The floorboards over there aren't very sturdy.
Right on cue, the same board I'm stepping on creaks and suddenly breaks, the pieces falling somewhere with a dull thunk.
Oh shit. Scumbag wouldn't be too happy about that. Ow. What?
See? I told you so. You never listened to me.
They renovated the whole mansion and they can't even replace one tiny part of the house.
Why don't you file a complaint to BRC then? I'm sure they'd be thrilled to hear it.
You know, it was such a rush job.
Outside, the winds have intensified. Even from here, I can hear the gusts battering the window in the attic. It makes you wonder why, up until now, the only person we've encountered from this house is the butler. Although, to some degree, that makes sense. He is in charge of running the place. Where are the other servants, though, in this storm? Wouldn't anyone want to stay inside? A likely assumption is they're all asleep. The route I've taken doesn't really pass by the rooms they've likely assigned as the servants' quarters. However, they also heighten security. I brushed it off earlier, thinking they'll be posted a lot closer to where the master's rooms are. But the second floor is devoid of anyone as well. As if every inhabitant of this place has suddenly disappeared overnight. More importantly, where's that scumbag? I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The fact that we're here right in the fucking middle of it makes me all the more queasy. And that feeling only escalates once we reach the landing and Isabella swings the door open. She pauses abruptly right in the doorway that I almost run into her. A look of confusion in her as she looks wildly around the place, wordlessly taking in her surroundings. With each turn and shift of her eyes, her shoulder only grows tenser and a look of apprehension slowly dawns on her.
Isabella, what are you...
We aren't supposed to be here.
Sure enough, when I look up, we're standing right in the kitchen, pots, pans, and all. In one corner, Rebecca watches almost as surprised to see us. McCulloch also with her. Of course, she didn't listen to me, even if I've already exceeded the 15 minutes we've agreed on. Although color and strength seems to have already returned to her, enough for her to be able to stand unassisted. The empty plate on the counter appears to have played a part on that. Good news, I guess. As for the other one, however, relieved as I am that she had the sense to wait and not venture deeper into the mansion, I can't keep but roll my eyes at her, although she preempts with me with a reprimand of her own.
Did you really think you could hide this from us?
I had to, Becca.
You know, if Isabella hadn't asked G and that old guy didn't slip, none of us would even have any idea.
So the first thing the two of you did is go straight here?
Of course not, but Isabella insisted.
And it didn't even occur to you to stop her?
I tried, all right. She was out the door before I could say anything.
And how did you guys even get in here?
Both of them exchange a look, one that I absolutely don't like. In the end, it's Isabella who speaks up, albeit with a bit of hesitation.
We heard someone scream, Ash. It led us here.
Without warning, the door behind us slams shut.
We need to get out of
But
here.
how did they get inside the house? That's the real question. Screw right. I need to get these people out of here. Lucky we're in the kitchen and we have two ways out. The back door and the cellar offers. Except the hatch won't budge when I pull at it. Neither does the back door, as if something has locked it firmly on the other side. Rebecca also gives it a few tries, but even with help from Isabella, it won't open. There's a long bout of silence in which we all simply look at each other, likely sharing the same thoughts. We are trapped. Something or someone has intentionally led us here. Fuck. In that same moment, once realization draws in, something shifts again. Blood. In every nook and cranny, over every surface, in every inch of the floor. This time, unlike the first one I've seen, it remains and gradually the whole room begin to reek of that familiar metallic scent, sharp, suffocating. Around us, every object, including the cupboards, have started to rattle as well. The sounds from outside, foreboding, rumble of thunder, and even the howling winds have begun to fade away, replaced by whispers, shouts, and cries of pain. Though inaudible, each beat and note bombards every crevice my head with every crevice of my head with vague images and sounds. There's no time to make sense of everything, however. I'm already shouting, fueled purely by adrenaline, barking orders and making a break for the door that leads to the next room, the dining. The dining? It should take us straight to the foyer, where the main door is.
Move! Run!
Right in front of us, the mansion has started to change, and we're in the thick of it. However, instead of the dining room like it's supposed to open to, the bedroom welcomes us instead. An image that lasts only but a second before blood begins to seep into the room. Filtering into the walls, trickling from every nook and cranny. Everywhere, furniture shakes and every beam rattles. Together, Ashton and Isabella carefully made their way downstairs. However, instead of a hallway, the kitchen greeted them instead. Before they could understand what was happening, it slammed shut behind them and the whole mansion started to shift. Before we can even step back from the horror gradually unfolding in front of us, the door slams shut. A loud thud bringing a sense of dread and chill creeping up in each of us. Along with it is another realization. The whole place is reordering itself. And with the door closed tight behind us, showing no signs of budging, even though sheer force, there is no choice but to go forward and hope to all gods that it will lead us to an exit. There's the balcony right next to that bed. They just can't just step out and see if they can just climb down from the balcony. I mean, until then, running's the only thing we can do, spurred by nothing but fear and sense of desperation to live. And therefore they moved this mirror. They moved this mirror to the basement, to the wine cellar, actually. I totally forgot about that.
It's useless, Ashton Frey.
But with each room we pass, it only becomes apparent that the house has no intention of letting us leave. It lured us all here, and we've fallen for it. Now it's playing a little game with us, a sordid form of amusement. For whom? Their laughters are the only thing we can hear. With every hall we cross and door we slide open, the hope of finding an exit merely dwindles. The gun at my hip is useless here. I am useless here. Some fucking genius I am. Some fucking person to trust I am. All of those, they mean nothing in the face of the unknown.
You finally figured it out. Huh, Ashton Frey? Just give it up.
And you are going to die alone.
Shut your fucking mouth.
You know it's true, though.
All of it. It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it. You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to save anyone.
The more gruesome the place turns, the bleaker our chances simply get. Wails and screams fill our ears as we pass by, words from a time and people long gone, laced with nothing but pure agony, calling out, reaching out to us. Their voices almost too real, as if we're not the only ones trapped here, that there are others begging for release from this wretched place. Or maybe it's all just a show, a taste of what we will eventually be, souls forever held captive in a near-ending nightmare.
Take me with you, please. Stop. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Is this what the curse is? What it means for all of us? That the letter, not a morbid cry for help, but an invitation? A beckoning for unsuspecting souls to be dragged into this place's horrors? To be put under centuries and centuries of torment and agony? Suddenly, dying a painful death seems preferable, enticing, than ending up here, living a tortured existence. Or perhaps it's all the same. Still, hope worms its way into me, not a usual thing for someone like me. But after going through countless doors and corridors, every sign of hope I'm willing to cling to, as long as it will get us out of here. We're back in the dining room again. How long have we been running? How long since we've left the kitchen? They can't just look out the window. You know, just throw the chair at the window and get out that way. At some point, I've lost track of time, with the window barred tight and the sounds lifting in the air, nothing but shouts and shrieks. It's impossible to tell. But from the bedroom, there was an open balcony. Not that it matters when an end is in sight. Shelves and furnishings bar the door, each stained with blood and gore. Yet if the situation isn't as desperate as it is, I'll find a different way out. But there's still a gap left at the topmost part for a person to go through, as long as you use the shelves to climb.
It's next and all right.
From here, I can spy the familiar walls of the foyer. Relief. Only relief washes over me. Although my legs have been strained, taut by all that running, and every bone and muscle in my body ache, there's only an easing. A sense of tension relieving while energy backflows through me again at the sight of an end. No sooner, I'm leading us out of it. Isabella helps McCullough first, assisting her up and through the gap before giving a hand to Rebecca. The moment the ladies are in, I nod for her to go through.
Go ahead. I'll watch your back.
Surprisingly, she does that without any protest. Not that there's any need. Sometime after entering this room, the whole place has calmed down. No wails, no whispers, just a silence too deafening. But I'm not letting my guard down until everyone's on the other side of this nightmare, safe. For all I know, this may just be a calm before another storm. Without further incident, however, Isabella makes it to the other side and I'm following after her. However odd this hush is, I turn my back from it and climb up. It's a tight fit, but I manage to squeeze myself in. The unease remains, though. Maybe it's the adrenaline still coursing through me, or how easy everything has been after living through that nightmare, fleeting as it is. But for some reason, something's still nagging at me. Call it a detective's instinct, or my training, or whatnot. I have a feeling something's going to happen and catch us unprepared. Unconsciously, before dropping down on the better side of this dream, my hand shifts to the gun at my hip. Instinct has never failed me before. My feet haven't even landed firmly on the floor when...
Had I known there would be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two. People these days, in my own home. Can you believe it? I feel so left out.
A chill seeps into every vein in my body. All of a sudden, every ache, every pain returns to me tenfold, and my knees threaten to buckle at the sound of his voice. Though it appears friendly, I know it's anything but. One does not spend investigating a man like him for over a year and holding a grudge against him for more. without knowing everything about him. His quirks, his habits, I'm familiar with all of them. And right now, Luke fucking Wright is beyond pissed. Shifting my gaze upwards, it's nearly too painful knowing the danger. Not to me, but to those who have been lured in here by the curse. The hand catches my eyes first. The handgun catches my eyes first, next to the smarmy smile on his face, while he holds McCullough, Rebecca, and Isabella at gunpoint. It's sight enough to lodge a painful thorn up my throat. I've been too complacent, too focused on other things that I've completely set aside the fact that the scumbag will not be too pleased to see us here without knowing our reasons. But even with those good intentions, curses and ghostly apparitions aside, we're still trespassing in his home. The question is if he's even aware that the whole of his household has somehow disappeared and he might be the only one here. Likely not. Fuck. Even with the people he knows among the crowd, there's a significant effort in him to simply shoot everyone in sight.
And really, Daisy, even you, what would Kylie say?
Luke, this isn't what you're thinking. You have to listen to us. There's something going on here.
Well, obviously, why else would people be trespassing in my home? What about little Lily over there, then? What's your excuse? Checking back if your clients are doing okay? Is that it? Is this what this is? Oh, we're doing good, by the way.
Sir, please.
Oh, please, what?
We need to get out of this place. You need to leave.
Tut, not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight. Don't worry, I might consider pressing lighter charges for the woman.
Can't say the same for Feathers here, though.
But really now, I swear, people need to stop breaking into my house. This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
Casually, he waves the handgun at them as if it's just a mere toy and his words are no threat. The safety's off on his. Nothing stopping him from pushing through his words. Call me paranoid, but at a slight gesture, I draw my own and level at him, finger on the trigger, and ready to release the safety catch in case things go south. He is quick to train his own on me. Okay, shoot him, Luke. Though, and just like that, we're at a standstill. After a long, desperate run in search of a way out, the house calmed down for some reason. An exit was finally in sight. Waiting on the other side, however.
Now, Feathers, manners. You're in no position to be pointing that gun at people.
Why don't you put yours down first, and then we'll talk about manners.
Oh, he talks back. The gall. You know, your kind pisses me off so much.
Shooting him right now will be so worth it, with the way he stares at me like I'm a damn pest. But this isn't what I've come here for. I'm not a murderer, as much as I loathe him. I'm not the kind who will kill people in cold blood for my own gain or amusement. The law will bring him what he deserves one of these days. At the moment, however, we're all in the same boat with this curse, and he needs to understand that. The longer we stand here, the more time we're wasting and losing, something we don't have much of. But how can I convince him? This scum is so full of himself, prefers to hear the sound of his own voice more than those of the people around him, no matter how much sense they make. Probably the only way I can make him listen is if I beg. No way in hell that's happening. Maybe I should eliminate the immediate danger first and disarm him? I'm gonna make him beg. Beg to your master. My life's not the only one at risk here, however. There's Rebecca. There's Isabella. McCullough's here as well. We're all unknowing victims of this fucking curse. I'm in no position to pick who to save and who I should simply let die. I suppose my pride can take a few hits, and I can set aside my beef with this asshole. Taking a deep breath, slowly I lower my pistol. Though still on the edge and ready in case he does something, I do my best to assume a less aggressive stance.
Listen, right. I need you to.
You broke into my house, and somehow, you expect me to listen like a good little boy. Are you a bit touched in the head, Feathers? I'm not the one breaking laws here.
Look here, fucker. If I wanted you dead, I could have done it so many times already. In fact, I can easily shoot you down right here, right now. And you won't be able to do a damn thing, even with that gun.
Suddenly he laughs, almost howling in fact, like I've told him the best joke he's heard all his life. The only thing missing is for him to kneel over and start rolling around the floor, all while I do my best not to sock him with the sorry end of my pistol.
You have guts, Feathers. You have guts. Did you hear what you just told me? You've just threatened me inside my own house. My own home. You know what I'm thinking right now? In another lifetime, we would have probably gotten along well.
He's right on that, at least. I might have ended up like him if I didn't have Professor Andrew, Rebecca, Zach, and Isabella. One mistake and it would have been too late for me. With his laughter rings all those possibilities I could have lived, but have never been given the choice. All because I have other people with me, people who care. A sobering realization. But not so much when suddenly his chuckling stops. In 2 heartbeats, he marches towards me, grabs my collar, and aims his gun right in my head.
Luke, no!
At this distance, a slight flick of that finger on the trigger will be able to do more than kill me.
What is it that you people really want with me?
Kill him.
This is the 3rd time this week, and I'm really getting weary of this little game. Did the NCA send you to apprehend me, or has somebody paid you off to kill me? Which one is it, Feathers? Mind you, my arm's getting tired. Better answer quick if you don't want to eat the business end of this gun.
I keep my eyes trained on him in spite of the huge threat he poses right now. Because if there's anything people like him, like us, prefer, it's honesty. You don't give that impression without giving a solid eye contact.
I'm not with NCA. I'm just here to help. There's something else in this house, and we're all in danger. You have to believe me, right? You need to let us go. You need to get out of here before it's too late. If you want to keep your sorry ass alive, you'll listen to people with more brain cells than you.
Why, you insolent!
His finger moves, but I'm prepared. My hand ready to reach up, disarm him, and knock him out. If I have to drag him out of this place unconscious to keep him from suffering the fates of every other person who has died from this curse, so be it. However, before either of us can fire a shot or tackle the other to the ground, another voice echoes through the foyer. A small little thing compared to the storm raging outside. It rings above it, nevertheless, causing us all to stop and turn. At the top of the stairs, Hannah Wright stands. To make things worse, that thing's behind her, menacing. A rotting hand wrapped firmly around her neck. She looks like death. Pale and shaky, eyes red with tears, we nearly don't hear her as she pleads.
Help me. Please.
Outside, another streak of lightning flashes and a clap of thunder ripples across the sky. As if this whole thing can't get any more foobar than it already is. In spite of the danger Luke Wright posed at the moment, Ashton lowered his gun and, assuming an imploring tone towards the man he hated, amidst the tense air, a voice suddenly echoed in the foyer. There, at the top of the grand staircase, stood Hannah Wright. Oh, we're finally at the Luke chapter. To say that I'm scared of what's happening is a gross understatement. Trouble of any sort is the last thing I want to get home to after a long day at work and a trip to the bar. And when I see Hannah near prostrate, I can only feel dread. She twitches and and seizes, body wound and coiled tight before trashing, shuddering and shaking. Like a woman possessed, her mouth falls open and her eyes roll to the back of her head. It has the hallmark signs of a seizure. The symptoms are similar enough. And that knowledge, the fact that I know this, only makes me feel worse. But to hold her close is all I can do while she trashes about. Okay, this is when Hannah was checking out the entrance to the cellar. Oops. Where's that? Oh, profiles. 31 years old, British, atheist. Oh, at least he's the only atheist, I think, in this whole bunch, right? Christian. Oh, Rebecca is an atheist also. Zachary is agnostic. A prostitute's son. Oh, well. Okay. He spent his childhood roaming the streets begging or pickpocketing in order to avoid home. Home meant a too drunk mother and her equally drunk clients, some of who would take to beating the child out of anger, and if he so much looked at them wrong. That meant he was always in trouble, in one form or another. Nothing was done to correct it until, in a sober moment, his mother found out about the abuse and promised to take better care of her son. Luke was happy for a while, but his mother's bad habit led to an early grave and left him orphaned until his biological father, a businessman with no legitimate heir, sought him out. He was trained to inherit right enterprise, but along the way got mixed up with illegal activities. That put the company in a bad spot after his assistant ran off with a large sum of dirty money. Bankruptcy would have been inevitable if he hadn't married Hannah. Interesting. Bread pudding, dogs, wine and absinthe, piano playing, daffodils, money, women and power, and men. You know, because we know he's... you know what he really likes. I know this is wrong, that I'm supposed to hold her down. Yet I do it out of instinct, reflex even. I'm terrified of hurting her, but I see no other way to keep Hannah from hurting herself. It takes a lot to keep myself from running off, to get help when she needs me here. And it takes everything I have to keep myself intact. When she says my name, I realize that the seizures have stopped. But that doesn't make the dread go away.
Please.
What happened here? Who did this to you?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
The sight of her tear-streaked face is enough to twist the knife end. It does not help that I'm as lost as she is right now, and all I can say is...
Shh, it's alright. You're safe now, Hannah. You're safe now.
I must have sat there in the kitchen, cradling Hannah in my arms for an eternity, until Shrocken and her maid ran in, assuming the worst. She had been screaming, enough to attract the attention of anyone on the mansion property. Please don't tell me that I have to repeat the hallway scene between him and Rebecca, though, because I would die if that happens. But that's all well and good in the end, I suppose, as they help carry Hannah up to our bedroom. I doubt I could have managed on my own. I might have slipped on the stairs and cracked both our heads if I tried. Both Shraken and the maid does the short work of making her comfortable while I sit on the sidelines. I have no idea how long I remain there, just watching them and her. But at some point after they've left us, the sun has set, leaving the room dark and silent. Is that sound from the game? Nestle in all the pillows and blankets and put on her side, though. Hannah looks smaller than ever. She looks weak and vulnerable, and I can't help but worry. Not to mention the children. Think of the children. I wouldn't know how such an event could affect babies in the womb. Now seems like a good time to get drunk as any. But I just can't. I can't bring myself to leave her side just to intoxicate myself. Not with what just happened. I might just drink myself to death if I so much as tried.
Please, stay with me, darling.
Of course. Anything for you, sunshine.
There's no way I can leave her side without feeling guilty. Besides, what sort of husband and father would I be if I don't take care of her when she's sick? Not that I'm too confident about what I can do on my own. I'm not trained for this sort of thing. Even if I've experienced similar scenarios before, I might still have it wrong. I've already called a personal physician along with the obstetrician who knew of her pregnancy for a house call in the morning. We'll have to go on from there. I don't like to think about it, but I can still remember the doctor's instructions on how to take care of my mother while she was ill. Provide a safe space for her to rest. Check. Let her lie on her side so that she doesn't choke. Check. Loosen tight clothing to touch the breast. To let her breathe. Check. Keep calm and don't panic. Well, I'm having a bit of trouble with that one, aren't I?
Do you want any water? Something to nibble on, perhaps? I can call for something to be brought up. Soup would be good, right?
I'm fine, Luke. Don't you worry. I'm just a little sick, but I'll get better.
A pain look crosses her face, and more than anything, I wish I can take away the pain she feels now. And she beckons me to come closer and to hold her in my arms. Who am I to say no? Ah, lull to sleep. Her body still quivers. Tiny shakes that make my heart feel like it's going to stop and give every time they happen too much. I take care to give her room to breathe, no matter how much of an uncomfortable position it puts me in. Her scent is enough to bring me at ease. Golden flowers, marigolds, buttercups, and daffodils. I'm not sure if she smells this way because I surround us with them when I can, or because she's wearing the perfume I gave her last Christmas.
There we go. Now, are we comfy?
She nods her head weakly, a smile barely making its way on her lips. I'd be ready to fulfill any request she has, anything to make this easier for her, anything to make her happy. But when she next speaks, I can feel my breath catch in my throat.
Sing me a lullaby.
A lullaby? Of course. I can do that.
I know I've done so many things in my life that would justify a horrible end. But not Hannah. She doesn't deserve this. This is all far too horribly familiar. To find myself in bed, clutching relevantly to an ill-beloved, wishing it isn't real and hoping it doesn't get any worse. To find myself screaming at a god I've long abandoned and forgotten. Not her, not again. Take her and you will bloody rue. To have a lullaby shared so that we can forget the pain and the fear.
Hush, my darling,
Oh, Lord.
don't say a word. I'm gonna catch you a mockingbird.
I can hear her breathy laugh, though. She doesn't tell me to stop. If this amuses her, then that's fine. Who sings like kids' lullabies to each other? I don't know. But her breathing soon evens itself out. A good thing, too. And before I know it, she's fallen asleep. If only it would be as easy for me. I certainly don't envy her, but I don't particularly like how my mind runs right now. Better than afraid, clutching at straws and asking myself if I'll really let myself fall apart in this moment. It's alarming how just the thought of losing her could break me, pregnant or not.
And if that mockingbird don't sing, I'm gonna get you a diamond ring.
No, that's why she likes that. It's the diamond ring part. I've already lost my mother. The only other woman I've truly loved in my life, and without knowing then, as a young man, that wounded a great part of me. I'm aware of how scarred I am, for a lack of a better term. And if anything ever happens to Hannah, well, I don't know what I'll do after the fact. Would the loss drive me insane? Would I become mad and swear bloody vengeance on a world that deserves less than her? Would I end up drowning in sorrow and guilt until I end up drinking one night and figuring a bullet is a good way to go? Or perish the thought, would I become like my father, one who had no further love for anything, not others, or even objects of self? The vainglorious Mogul that worked and worked on the sake of succeeding in the search of happiness that would never come.
And if that diamond
Oh, Lord.
ring turns brass, we're gonna go to fields of
We
grass.
gonna fuck you in the ass. For a long while, I was the man, that man, wasn't I? Pursuing gold and glory and nothing else. Bloody hell, I even started courting Hannah for the money and her family had. She was a mark to be attained. But she was so bright, and I don't mean intelligent. Okay, I need to finish the stream, so the past 2 hours. I just want to finish the scene in the bedroom. And I don't mean intelligent, though she is certainly that too. No, she was bright in a manner that she could bring such sunshine to anyone's dreary life. I thought I would need to put on a mask with her, just like with all the others. I was kind of hoping that by the time we get to Luke's chapter, that it would just be like quick, you know, maybe like an epilogue chapter or something like that. But this is a whole thing. Like, I just hope that they don't repeat some of the scenes, some of the long scenes from earlier through his perspective, because that would be too much, I think. But than anything else, she made it feel so constricting, suffocating, that I pulled off the mask on my own. I had wanted to be myself around her, just as she was so willfully showing her real self to those around her. It wasn't some sudden realization. There was no eureka moment. It just happened.
And in those fields where we roam, we'll take daffodils for our home.
Take daffodils off my dick. We would meet up and talk about business, but then those could only last for so long after a few dozen dates. We ended up talking about other things, little things that didn't seem to matter so much, inconsequential things. Ever since this person found that word inconsequential, it's been... Oh my god. Keeps coming up every 10-15 minutes. Inconsequential things that one would end up forgetting in the grand scheme of things. Good food, good music, dogs, the film we just saw, books we've read, well, we were apart and places we want to go, things that weren't important suddenly are. It confused me so much. But I was happy, and at some point, I told myself this was the woman I wanted to spend my life with. Then I would forget that a lot. It was out of some misguided need to be my own person, to not be defined by anyone else. I refused to put her on a pedestal or to make her the center of my universe. Married or not, we were our own person at the end of the day. I would forget to, at the very least, remember that she was there with me.
And if those daffodils die and wilt, we'll still have the home that we built.
She's already asleep. Stop it. She made me better, but am still me to an extent. Still the son of a bitch that has something to prove. I forget it again and again, no matter how hard I try. I'll spend extra hours at the office for something or somebody or another, to have favorable stocks, to care of a debt, something. Sometimes I'll even bring home, if I haven't gone to drink and destroy my liver, bring work home. I'll flaunt the riches, some of which aren't even rightfully mine in the first place, and lord myself over everyone else because I fucking deserve it. Because that is how I prove myself, when I don't even have to prove myself to Hannah. Sometimes I wonder, had we met under different circumstances, had I grown up a different way, would all of this be any better? Would we be any happier?
Good night, my sunshine.
Now there's a thought.
Mommy, what happened?
Mama!
You were shaking, and you wouldn't stop even if I was shouting. I'm so sorry I shouted at you, Mommy.
Shh, don't cry.
Sounded like a little girl.
My little ball of sunshine's not supposed to cry, is he? Don't you worry. Mommy is just a little sick, but she'll get better. I've got a new job now, and I can get medicine again, okay?
I don't have to suck dick
I'll
no
buy
more.
some bread pudding too while we're at it.
Please don't do that again, Mommy. It's scary.
It's okay. I'm here. You've got nothing to fear. But you have to be brave too, Lucille.
Lucille.
Even when I'm not around.
Oh, that's right. His actual name is Lucille. Lucille Mitchell Luke, right? Lucille is not a male name, is it?
Be brave.
I choke back a scream and wake up in cold sweat, with my heart pounding in my ears. It takes a while to remember where I am. In a dark and cold room, one can't fault me for feeling ill at ease. It isn't as bright as a penthouse, and the renovations did little to change how old it feels. We've been here for less than a week. It'll take a bit more time to adjust. It's hard to feel cozy, though, when I'm bloody freezing. Nudging the lump of fabric next to me, I sigh.
It's cold. Don't hug the sheets, Hannah.
It's gonna be that woman. She always did this, though it hardly bothers me. Growing up, I was lucky to have something to use as a mattress. I'm not the one who grew up accustomed to Egyptian cotton with a thread count of 800. Besides, the warmth that Hannah exudes on her own is usually enough to keep me sleeping through the night. The temperature tonight must be something else with how chilly it is right now. I must be considerate. After all, the poor devil dear is the poor dear is ill. Though I loathe to think about what had just transpired.
Don't make me pull those sheets off you. Oh, that blanket is large enough to cover an elephant. You'll need to share.
It takes a while.
What was that, honey? Apologies. I'm just in the loo, so if you can give me a moment.
There's no sign that they'll be moving where they lie. With care, I go for a kitchen hidden under the side of my bed. It would be foolish of me to instigate anything while I'm unarmed, after all. To pull back the covers would be a more difficult affair, because reaching out to uncover who was underneath, I have prepared for anything and assumed the worst. If so much as to see the nozzle of a gun, there's going to be a murder tonight. I know they say not to bring a knife to a gunfight, but I think I can sink a blade in his liver faster than he can point and aim. I see the rise and fall of the sheets, though it could easily be mistaken as the fault of the breeze. I hear their breathing. A great sense of foreboding comes over me, making me hesitate with my plan. I should just get Hannah and myself out of here, not look back and let security handle it. That's what they're there for. Or maybe I should just man up. There's no way I'm risking the chance that inaction will put Hannah in danger. Well, what's the worst that could happen, right? I've no reason to be afraid. Just pull it. There's no boogeyman under this bed. All this, like, they think about like 10,000 things before they do anything in this game. There's no boogeyman under the bed. No monster in my closet. If anything, these things should be afraid of me, right? I grab a fistful of sheets and throw them aside. Nothing. Nothing but a bunch of pillows stare back at me. Must be my imagination. I'm rather not think I'm going mad. It could very well be the stress getting to me. This drama with Hannah. Been doing well all these years, all things considered. I guess I do have a breaking point. But still, the world goes on without. Even if one cannot, and I must go along with it. I suppose my day off or two wouldn't hurt. Rest aside from a few hours of sleep will be welcome. More than. But I can't shake the unease. I dare say that I feel afraid, irrationally so, that something will come creeping and crawling from under the bed, even as I lay back down and close my eyes. Okay. The odd dreams don't linger, thankfully. Alright, let's see here. After what seemed to be a seizure, Johannes found the couple in the kitchen and helped usher the weak woman to the master's bedroom. Luke elected to stay with Hannah to care for her, singing a lullaby until sleep came over both of them. Okay, let me see if this long conversation... and then Luke just woke up in the middle of the night and screamed in cold sweat. Finding comfort in the warm body next to her, he tried to get back to sleep and forget the images plaguing his mind until Hannah called up from the loo. Okay. So, thankfully, we're not gonna go back in time to when he was hanging out with Rebecca, because those scenes last like forever. Seems like, okay, we already passed that scene when this happened. So, but they might repeat the scene at the precinct, though. I hope not. But anyway, I'm going to stop there. Been streaming for 2.5 hours. I'll be back later tonight. Thanks for being here, Leon, if you're still there. Bye-bye.